So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Peter Racey here from Foundation Expo 88 YouTube channel. So we've come back out to the Chandler Stadium's Sports Centre, and I'm just going to cut over to an earlier YouTube we recorded out here. So out of that snippet you'll see that the Skater is now not on the Big C. And that's another save for the history of Brisbane, and it's probably going to be restored and go back in not that far from here. Still in a bit of a state of flux at the moment, but that looks very, very promising. Now, the real purpose of this afternoon is to do the measurements of the Big C here for the Caboolture Historical Village, so that they can then move on to their part of the bargain to come out, save this, have it painted up thanks to Ken Doan in Ken Doan type colours and theme, and then have it go on display, hopefully for the first anniversary of the sign unveiling. Funds and money dependent, very much dependent in actual fact. So let's move on. But before we move on, there's another great little bit of news. So just prior to Christmas, there was a relisting of a property at 621 Gympie Road, and at 621 Gympie Road is situated the Morris Boot. Now the Morris Boot was sitting on top of the Morris Boot factory, which about 1976 had become the Spaghetti Emporium. Had a really great trading history until the early 80s, and then it closed down, and then it became the Underground. Now, as in its guise as the Underground, during World Expo 88, it was an incredibly popular site, as the Expo site closed down around 10 o'clock, and people still wanted to party, and they partied on in their hundreds at the Underground at Caxton Street. And if that can be saved, that will be fantastic. And I'm just hoping that some interested media types pick up the hint and do a bit of research and help me progress the saving of the Morris Boot. Now, the important thing that Greg Riddell from the Caboolture Historical Village wants to know, one of the key measurements, he wants to know how wide this is. And Greg, it's 1.1 metre wide. So Greg, you wanted to know the depth from the top of the sea to the back of the sea. It's 4.5 to 4.6 metres long. Greg, I don't think there's any real way of me measuring the height. I thought my tape measure would be enable me to be able to lean up and measure from the top to the bottom, but that's not proven to be the case. A little bit like watching Laurel and Hardy, actually, to be honest, but I won't put that vision up on the YouTube. Scaling it width-wise to height-wise, I would say that it is about 5 metres high. I really don't think it's as high as 6, which was my original guess. Greg, at the back there's a flat metal bar, and it holds it up, and it's 6.3 deep. So I think that could easily be cut off, and then just cut off, and it just becomes either a piece that you keep and use, or just toss out, because you can easily replicate it depending on the location that you're going to. I suspect that the bottom part of that is actually cast down into the cement base that this whole thing sits on. So Greg, directly under this section here is where I suspect there are a couple of little legs that it probably sat on as they erected the giant C, to then pour the concrete base that has then solidified around the flat sheet reinforcing bar, and then this end of it, because when you have a look at the concrete, it's obviously been, as I said, poured around the stationary C. So you'd have to get oxy and just cut around the base of this piece off, or alternatively get some jackhammers and jackhammer up the cement base to then enable easier access. It'll be a bit tricky, that part of the whole operation, I suspect. And with that summary, hopefully that is good enough for your purposes, Greg. I wish you all the best as you tackle the thought process on how best to save and transport the giant C from Chandler up to Caboolture. Thanks and good afternoon.